Elena Vasquez stands in her $2.4 million lakeside art studio. Her latest painting sold for $50,000. Her creative empire generated $75 million last year through online courses, certified instructor programs, art supply lines, and luxury retreats. Students in 93 countries learn from her methods. 800 certified instructors teach her techniques worldwide. But 12 years ago, this same Elena was an art teacher, trembling over a resignation letter at her desk. She'd spent over a decade teaching 5 classes daily, watching her dreams fade while her real calling gathered dust in her garage studio. Maybe you know this feeling, the suffocating weight of Sunday night dread, the way your stomach drops when the alarm goes off Monday morning, the quiet desperation of sitting in traffic, wondering if this is all there is to life. Hey there. Tonight, you'll discover how Elena's moment of truth transformed a struggling art teacher into a creative empire worth $75 million, and how her breakthrough can unlock your own courage to turn creativity into extraordinary wealth. Before you drift off, hit like if stories about artistic transformation speak to you, and subscribe to join others on this journey of creative abundance. Drop a comment with where you're listening from and how many nights you've been manifesting with us. This community's commitment to creative prosperity inspires me deeply. Now settle in and let your mind absorb this story of artistic breakthrough and business mastery. The breaking point came when the school district eliminated the art program entirely. 12 years of nurturing young creative spirits, gone with a single administrative decision. That's when Elena realized the real risk wasn't leaving her secure teaching job. It was staying and watching her creativity die a slow, bureaucratic death. You'll experience those final moments in her classroom, feeling the weight of her decision as if it were your own. The terrifying first month when her savings dwindled and doubt crept in. The mentor who appeared when she needed guidance most. The systematic approach that transformed her artistic passion into multiple revenue streams. But you'll also witness something extraordinary. The gradual awakening of a woman who stopped asking for permission to live her artistic truth, who discovered that the universe rewards bold creative action with abundance beyond imagination, who learned that artistic courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision that creative expression matters more than financial security. Tonight, as Elena's story unfolds, your subconscious mind will recognize that the same creative power lives within you. Her journey becomes your permission to stop settling and start building the abundant life your creativity deserves. So breathe deeply, let your body sink into comfort, and prepare to witness a transformation that will plant seeds of artistic and financial possibility in your own sleeping mind. The gravel path crunches softly beneath your feet as you make your way down the gentle slope toward the water's edge. You can already hear the rhythmic lapping of small waves against the rocky shoreline, a sound so peaceful it seems to slow your heartbeat to match its cadence. The late afternoon sun hangs low in the summer sky, painting everything with that particular golden light that photographers spend their careers trying to capture. You're here because Elena invited you. 3 months ago, you'd never heard her name, but now her story has become legendary in creative circles. The art teacher who walked away from tenure and built a $75 million creative empire. The woman who proved that artistic passion and business acumen aren't opposites. They're dance partners in the waltz of abundance. As you round the final curve in the path, her studio comes into view, and your breath catches in your throat. It's nothing like you expected. Instead of a rustic cabin or converted barn, Elena has created something that looks like it was designed by an architect who understood that creativity needs both inspiration and light. The building seems to float above the water on elegant stilts, its walls made almost entirely of glass that reflects the lake and sky so perfectly you have to blink to tell where the building ends and nature begins. The sound of classical guitar drifts across the water, mixing with the gentle splash of waves and the distant call of a loon somewhere across the lake. You can smell the particular scent of summer evening air, that mixture of warming earth, cool water, and the faint sweetness of wildflowers that only happens in these perfect moments when day begins its slow surrender to night. Elena's voice reaches you before you see her, calling out from somewhere inside the glass sanctuary. "You're right on time," she says, and there's something in her tone that suggests she's been expecting you, not just today, but perhaps for much longer than that. Come in. I'm just finishing up today's work." You climb the few wooden steps to the studio entrance, your hand trailing along a railing that's been worn smooth by weather and countless other visitors who've made this same pilgrimage to learn from someone who turned artistic dreams into financial reality. The door stands open, and as you step inside, you're immediately struck by the sense of space and light that fills every corner of the room. The interior is both workshop and sanctuary. Easels stand at various angles throughout the space, some holding completed canvases that catch and hold the light like windows into other worlds, others supporting works in progress, where bold strokes of color seem to pulse with life and energy. The polished concrete floor is splattered with paint in a rainbow of colors, creating an abstract masterpiece beneath your feet that tells the story of countless hours of creative flow. But it's Elena herself who captures your attention most completely. She stands at a large easel near the wall of windows facing the lake, her back to you as she applies confident strokes of deep blue to what appears to be a seascape. Her dark hair is pulled back in a loose bun, secured with what looks like a paintbrush, and she's wearing a white button-down shirt that's been transformed into a canvas of its own, decorated with smears and splatters that speak of someone who creates with her whole being. "I'll be with you in just one moment," she says without turning around, her voice carrying that particular focus that comes when someone is completely absorbed in their craft. "I'm trying to catch this light before it changes too much. Light is everything in painting, you know. It's the difference between a picture and a portal." You find yourself drawn to watch her work, mesmerized by the confident way she moves the brush across the canvas. There's no hesitation in her movements, no second guessing. Each stroke seems to know exactly where it belongs, as if the painting already exists somewhere, and she's simply revealing it, layer by layer, color by color. The studio around you tells the story of someone who has found the perfect balance between artistic inspiration and business success. Along one wall, you notice a sleek desk with dual monitors displaying what appears to be an online course platform. The screens show thumbnail images of art instruction videos, each one professionally produced and clearly popular based on the view counts you can glimpse. This isn't just an artist's studio. It's the command center of a creative empire. Elena finally sets down her brush and turns to face you, and when she smiles, you understand immediately why her story has captivated so many people. There's something luminous about her presence, a quality that suggests someone who has found their true purpose and is living it fully. Her eyes hold the depth of someone who has faced real challenges and transformed them into strength. "Welcome to my sanctuary," she says, gesturing around the space with obvious pride and affection. "This is where it all began, really. Well, Not this exact building. That's a more recent development. But this is where I first understood that art and abundance could coexist beautifully. She walks over to a small kitchenette area and begins preparing what smells like the most aromatic coffee you've ever encountered. The sound of beans grinding fills the studio, adding another layer to the symphony of evening sounds that drift through the open windows. "Tell me," she says as she works, "what brought you here tonight?" I find that people don't usually seek out my story unless they're standing at their own crossroads, trying to decide whether to trust their creative instincts or play it safe with conventional wisdom. Elena hands you a steaming mug of coffee and settles into a comfortable chair, positioned to take advantage of the view across the lake. You take the chair opposite her, and she begins to speak in a voice that carries both warmth and the kind of hard-earned wisdom that only comes from real experience. 12 years, she begins, her gaze drifting across the water where the setting sun is beginning to paint the sky in shades of coral and gold. 12 years I spent in those fluorescent-lit classrooms, teaching kids who were convinced that art was just something you did when you couldn't handle real subjects. Don't get me wrong, I loved those students. Some of them are still in touch with me today, showing me their own creative work, telling me how something we did in class sparked a lifelong passion. She pauses to sip her coffee, and you can see in her expression the complicated emotions that come with looking back on a chapter of life that was both meaningful and limiting. But every morning when I walked into Lincoln High School, I felt a little piece of my own artistic soul getting smaller. You know that feeling when you have something burning inside you that needs to come out, but life keeps pushing it further and further down the priority list? That was my reality for over a decade. Elena stands and moves to one of the easels, running her fingers along the edge of a canvas that shows a vibrant, abstract landscape. I was buying art supplies with my own money, not just for my personal work, but for the students too. The school's budget for art materials was so small, it was almost insulting. $40 per semester for a class of 30 kids. Do you know how much paint $40 buys? Enough for maybe 3 serious projects if everyone shared everything. The frustration in her voice is real, even now, years removed from that experience. But there's something else there too. A kind of appreciation for how those constraints shaped her understanding of value and resourcefulness. I had this little studio space in my garage at home, she continues, walking over to a wall where several smaller paintings hang in a carefully arranged gallery. Every evening after grading papers and planning lessons, I'd go out there and paint until midnight, sometimes later. It was my therapy, my escape, my connection to who I really was underneath all the teacher responsibilities. She points to one particular painting, a swirling composition of deep purples and golds that seems to capture movement and emotion in a way that makes you feel like you're watching a storm develop over open water. That piece there, I painted it during what I now think of as my breakdown year. It was year 10 of teaching, and I was starting to realize that I was never going to retire from education and then pursue art. I was going to retire from education with arthritis in my hands and eyes too tired to see color properly. The dream was going to die with me. Elena returns to her chair, but there's a restlessness in her posture now, as if the memory of that trapped feeling still has the power to make her want to move, to create, to break free from invisible constraints. The irony was that I was actually a really good teacher. My students won awards. The principal loved me. Parents requested their kids be placed in my classes. I had job security, health insurance, a pension plan, everything that conventional wisdom says you need for a successful life. but I was dying inside, creatively speaking. She gestures toward the lake, where a family of ducks has appeared near the shore, their wake creating V-shaped ripples that catch the light like moving jewelry. I used to sit in faculty meetings, listening to discussions about test scores and budget cuts, and I'd sketch business plans on the back of meeting agendas. Wild ideas about opening a gallery, starting an online art school, creating a line of art supplies designed by artists for artists. I had notebooks full of these dreams, but they felt as unrealistic as planning a trip to Mars. Elena laughs, but it's the kind of laugh that holds both regret and gratitude. What I didn't understand then was that every one of those impossible ideas was actually a perfectly viable business plan. I just didn't have the confidence to believe that an art teacher from a small town could compete in the larger creative economy. She stands again and moves to the window, pressing her palm against the glass, as if she's trying to touch the golden light that's beginning to intensify as the sun drops lower toward the horizon. The breaking point came on a Tuesday in March. I remember the exact day because it was the day after I'd spent my entire weekend organizing an art show for my students. We'd been working for months on pieces for this exhibition, and the kids were so proud of their work. The hallways were transformed into galleries. Parents came to see what their children had created, and for a few hours, the school felt like a place where creativity was valued and celebrated. Elena's voice grows quieter, more reflective. The next morning, I found an email in my inbox from the district administration. Due to budget constraints, the art program would be eliminated at the end of the school year. Not reduced, eliminated. No more art classes, no more art teacher position, no more space for creativity in these kids' educational experience. She turns back to face you, and in her eyes, you can see the exact moment when everything changed for her. I sat in my empty classroom that afternoon, surrounded by student artwork that was about to become homeless, and I realized something profound. I had been so focused on the security of my teaching job that I'd never seriously considered the insecurity of depending entirely on an institution that could eliminate my life's work with a single administrative decision. Elena moves to her desk and picks up a framed photograph, a group shot of students standing proudly next to their artwork. Their faces glow with accomplishment and joy. That night, I went home and did something I'd never done before. I took one of my paintings, a piece I'd been working on for months, and I photographed it properly. Good lighting, high resolution, the whole process. Then I created an Etsy shop and listed it for sale. She pauses, and you can feel the significance of that moment hanging in the air between you. Within 3 days, it sold. Not only did it sell, but the buyer left a comment asking if I had more pieces available and whether I took commissions. For the first time in my adult life, someone had valued my creative work enough to pay real money for it. Elena sets down the photograph and moves to a large canvas that dominates one corner of the studio. It's clearly one of her more recent works, sophisticated, confident, with layers of meaning that reveal themselves the longer you look. That first sale was for $300. $300 might not sound like much, but to me, it represented something revolutionary. It was proof that my art had value beyond my own emotional attachment to it. It was evidence that there were people out there who would pay for something I created with my own hands and imagination. The light outside has shifted again, becoming more golden and directional as the sun continues its descent toward the lake. Elena notices the change and moves to adjust an easel so that it catches the light more effectively. I spent the next month listing more pieces, researching online art sales, learning about pricing and marketing, and all the business aspects of art that they never teach you in art school. Every sale gave me more confidence, and every positive review from a buyer made me believe a little more strongly that I could actually do this. She returns to her coffee, wrapping her hands around the mug as if drawing warmth from it, even though the evening air is still comfortable. The school year ended with a mixture of sadness and excitement that I'd never experienced before. Sadness because I genuinely loved many aspects of teaching, and because I was leaving students and colleagues who had become like family. But excitement because for the first time in 12 years, I was about to find out who I could become when I stopped playing it safe. Elena looks directly at you, and in her gaze, you can see the moment when fear transforms into determination. The day I cleaned out my classroom, I found that resignation letter I'd written and rewritten so many times. I never did submit it officially. The position was eliminated, so there was nothing to resign from. But I kept that letter as a reminder of how long I'd been preparing to take this leap, even when I didn't consciously realize I was preparing. She stands and moves to the window again, watching as the sun touches the horizon and begins to spread its reflection across the water in a pathway of liquid gold. What I learned during those teaching years was invaluable, even though it took me a while to recognize it. I learned how to communicate complex ideas in simple terms. I learned how to inspire and motivate people who didn't initially see the value in what I was offering. I learned how to work within constraints and still produce something beautiful. Most importantly, I learned that security isn't about having a guaranteed paycheck. It's about having skills and knowledge that create value for other people. Elena turns back to you with a smile that holds both mischief and wisdom. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you about those first few months when I was trying to figure out how to turn artistic passion into sustainable abundance. Because that's where the real education began. Elena refills both your coffee cups and settles back into her chair as the golden hour light begins to take on the deeper, richer tones that photographers dream about. The studio around you seems to glow from within, every surface touched by the warm light reflecting off the lake. Those first few months of freedom were simultaneously the most terrifying and the most exhilarating period of my life. Elena begins, her voice taking on the rhythm of someone settling into a longer story. I had saved up enough money to give myself 6 months of basic living expenses, which felt like both forever and no time at all. She gestures toward a corner of the studio where a small desk holds what appears to be a vintage computer and some old art supplies. That's where I started, actually. Not here in this beautiful space, but at a folding table in my garage with a laptop that took 10 minutes just to boot up. Romance and reality are two very different things when you're building a business. Elena stands and walks over to the vintage setup, running her hand over the old monitor with obvious affection. I spent my first month as a full-time artist, learning everything I could about online business. I read every blog post, watched every YouTube video, joined every forum where artists talked about making money from their work. The learning curve was steep, but I had something that a lot of people starting online businesses don't have. I had teaching experience. She turns back to you with a knowing smile. You see, I knew how to break down complex information into digestible pieces. I knew how to recognize when someone was struggling with a concept and needed a different approach. I knew how to motivate people to push through challenges. These teaching skills turned out to be business superpowers. Elena moves to another easel, where a half-finished painting shows bold strokes of blue and green that seem to capture the movement of water. My second month I made a decision that changed everything. Instead of just selling finished paintings, I started documenting my process. I set up a simple video camera and recorded myself creating a piece from start to finish. She picks up a brush and makes a few demonstration strokes on the canvas, her movements fluid and confident. The video was rough, terrible lighting, mediocre audio, my commentary rambling and uncertain. But when I posted it on YouTube, something magical happened. People didn't just watch it, they engaged with it. They asked questions, they shared their own struggles with color mixing, they requested specific techniques. Elena sets down the brush and moves to her computer setup, clicking through what appears to be a YouTube channel with hundreds of videos. Within 3 months, I had uploaded 24 process videos and gained 3,000 subscribers. But more importantly, I had discovered something that would become the foundation of my entire business model. People don't just want to buy art, they want to understand how art gets made. She scrolls through comments on one of the videos, and you can see the enthusiasm and gratitude from viewers around the world. Look at these responses. Thank you for showing me that I don't need expensive supplies to start painting. Your explanation of color theory finally made it click for me. I painted my first landscape today using your techniques. This wasn't just about art education. It was about creative empowerment. Elena returns to her chair, but there's an energy in her posture that suggests someone who has found their true calling and is excited to share it. Month 4 was when I had my first real business breakthrough. A woman named Sarah from Portland commented on one of my videos, asking if I offered private lessons. I hadn't considered online tutoring, but I told her I'd try a video call session to see how it worked. She pauses to sip her coffee, and you can see the memory playing across her features like light across water. That first online lesson was a revelation. Sarah had been painting as a hobby for years, but felt stuck in her progress. Over the course of 90 minutes, I was able to help her understand perspective and composition in ways that transformed not just that painting, but her entire approach to art. She paid me $150 for that session, which was more than I'd made from any single painting sale. Elena stands and moves to a wall where several certificates and awards hang alongside photos of smiling students holding their artwork. But the real breakthrough came 3 days later, when Sarah sent me a photo of a painting she'd completed using what we'd discussed. The improvement was dramatic. You could see the confidence in every brushstroke. That's when I realized I wasn't just teaching art techniques. I was helping people discover their own creative potential. She turns back to you with the kind of smile that comes from someone who has found their perfect intersection of passion and purpose. I immediately started offering regular online lessons, and word spread quickly through my YouTube community. Within 6 weeks, I had a waiting list of students from 5 different countries. I was charging $200 per session and booking 20 sessions per week. Elena moves to her desk and pulls out a small notebook filled with handwritten notes and sketches. This is my original business journal from that period. Look at these numbers. I went from making maybe $800 a month selling paintings to making $4,000 a month teaching people how to paint. And the beautiful thing was that the teaching was actually improving my own artistic skills. She flips through pages of notes, and you can see the evolution of her thinking about business and art. But the real transformation happened when I started thinking bigger. Instead of trading time for money with individual lessons, I began developing my first online course. Landscape Painting Mastery, a comprehensive program that would take students from absolute beginners to confident landscape artists. Elena moves to a professional video setup in another corner of the studio. complete with multiple cameras, professional lighting, and a backdrop that can be adjusted for different types of demonstrations. Creating that first course was like going back to school, except I was both the student and the teacher. I had to learn video production, course design, online marketing, customer service, all while maintaining the artistic quality that had attracted my audience in the first place. She adjusts one of the cameras and demonstrates how she can record from multiple angles simultaneously. I spent 3 months creating 40 hours of video content, designing workbooks, setting up the online platform, and preparing for launch. The investment in equipment and software was significant, about $8,000, which represented most of my savings at that point. Elena turns back to you, and in her expression, you can see the mixture of excitement and terror that comes with making a major business bet on yourself. Launch day was incredible. I had built an email list of about 2,000 people through my YouTube channel and individual lessons, and I sent out the announcement with my heart pounding. The course was priced at $497, which felt like asking people to invest in my dreams. She moves to her computer and shows you what appears to be sales data from that first launch. In the first week, I sold 83 courses. In 1 week, I made more money than I had earned in my entire final year of teaching. But more than the money, what amazed me was the response from students. They weren't just buying content, they were investing in their own creative transformation. Elena settles back into her chair as the light outside begins to take on the deeper, more complex tones of early evening. The lake has become a mirror, perfectly reflecting the sky and the surrounding trees. That success gave me the confidence to think even bigger. I started developing more courses: figure painting, color theory, business skills for artists. Each course built on the success of the previous one, and each time I launched something new, my audience grew. She gestures around the studio, taking in the professional equipment, the beautiful space, the obvious success that surrounds you both. But the real breakthrough came when I realized that my teaching methodology could be systematized and scaled beyond what I could personally deliver. Instead of just creating courses for students, I started developing certification programs for other art instructors who wanted to use my teaching methods. Elena stands and moves to a wall display that shows a world map with pins marking locations around the globe. These represent certified instructors who are now teaching my methods in their own communities. We have active programs on 6 continents, and each instructor pays a licensing fee plus ongoing royalties based on their student enrollment. She traces her finger across the map, and you can see the pride and amazement in her expression as she contemplates the global reach of what started as a simple YouTube channel. The business model became incredibly robust. I had course sales generating passive income, licensing fees from certified instructors, ongoing royalties from their success. Plus, I was still creating and selling original artwork to collectors who had discovered my work through the educational content. Elena returns to her chair, but there's a restlessness in her energy that suggests someone who is always thinking about the next level of growth and impact. Year 3 was when everything really exploded. I launched my first live workshop retreat, a week-long intensive program where students could come here to the lake and learn in person. I was nervous about whether anyone would pay $3,000 to spend a week painting with me, but the first retreat sold out in 6 hours. She points toward a guest house visible through the trees on the far side of the property. That's when I knew I needed to expand the physical space. The retreat program was so successful that I now run them monthly, and we have a waiting list that's consistently 6 months long. Elena stands and moves to the window, watching as a great blue heron steps carefully through the shallow water near the shore. But the most exciting development came when I started partnering with art supply companies. Instead of just recommending products, I began designing my own line of paints, brushes, and canvases based on what I'd learned about what artists actually need versus what the market typically offers. She moves to a display area where various art supplies are arranged with obvious care and pride. These aren't just products with my name on them. They're tools I spent 2 years developing with chemists and manufacturers to create exactly what I wished I'd had when I was starting out. Elena picks up a tube of paint and shows you the label, which bears her signature and a small logo. The supply line now generates more revenue than all my other income streams combined. We sell direct to consumers through my website, but we also have distribution deals with major art retailers across North America and Europe. She returns the paint tube to its display and turns back to you with an expression that combines satisfaction with continuing ambition. Last year, the total revenue from all business streams was just over $75 million. But what I'm most proud of isn't the money. It's the impact. We've certified over 800 instructors who are teaching in their communities. We've sold courses to students in 93 countries. The retreat program has a waiting list of over 2,000 artists who want to experience what we've created here. Elena moves back to her easel and picks up a brush, making a few thoughtful strokes on the painting she'd been working on when you arrived. The business has become self-sustaining in ways I never imagined when I was sitting in that classroom, wondering if I'd ever have the courage to pursue my dreams. I have a team of 37 people working on various aspects of the company, from course production to customer service to international distribution. She sets down the brush and looks directly at you, her expression serious and intent. But here's what I want you to understand about this journey. None of it happened because I was the most talented artist or the most natural business person. It happened because I was willing to share my knowledge generously, solve real problems for other people, and keep learning and adapting as the business grew. Elena moves to the window again as the sun touches the horizon, beginning to paint the sky in the brilliant colors that only happen during these perfect summer evenings. The transition from struggling teacher to successful entrepreneur wasn't magic, it was methodology. And every principle I use to build this creative empire can be applied to any field, any passion, any dream that someone is brave enough to pursue seriously. She turns back to you with a smile that holds both warmth and challenge. Would you like to hear about some of those principles? Because the real value of my story isn't in the specific details of art education. It's in the underlying patterns of how creative vision becomes sustainable abundance. Elena refills your coffee cups once more as the evening light begins its spectacular transformation from golden to coral to deep rose. The studio seems to pulse with color now, every surface reflecting the changing light in ways that make the space feel alive and magical. The principles I discovered during this journey apply far beyond art. Elena begins, settling into her chair with the comfortable authority of someone who has tested their ideas in the real world and found them sound. When I speak at business conferences now, I'm often the only creative entrepreneur on the panel. But what I've learned about building abundance applies to any field where passion intersects with value creation. She pauses to watch a pair of swans glide across the lake, their wake creating perfect V-shaped ripples that catch and scatter the changing light. The first principle is what I call generous expertise. When I started documenting my painting process, I wasn't trying to protect my secrets or maintain some competitive advantage. I was sharing everything I knew as openly and thoroughly as possible. That generosity created trust, and trust became the foundation of every business relationship that followed. Elena stands and moves to a bookshelf where several leather-bound journals sit alongside art books and business texts. She pulls out one of the journals and opens it to a page covered with her handwriting. I kept detailed records of every interaction with students, every question they asked, every breakthrough they achieved. What I discovered was that the more value I gave away freely, the more valuable my paid offerings became. People don't buy courses or coaching because they can't find free information. They buy because they trust the source and want personalized guidance. She returns to her chair, but keeps the journal open on her lap, occasionally glancing at her notes as she speaks. The second principle is iterative excellence. I didn't wait until I was the world's greatest artist to start teaching. I started teaching at whatever level I was, and I improved my skills by teaching. Every course I created, every workshop I led, every one-on-one session made me better at both art and business. Elena gestures toward the wall of certificates and awards, but also toward earlier, simpler pieces of art that show her own progression. Look at those early paintings compared to my current work. The improvement is obvious, but it happened gradually through the process of sharing my knowledge and receiving feedback from students. Teaching forced me to articulate techniques I'd been using intuitively, and that articulation deepened my own understanding. She stands and moves to her computer, pulling up what appears to be analytics data from her various business streams. The third principle is systematic scaling. Every successful creative business eventually faces the same challenge. How do you grow beyond what you can personally deliver? The answer is systems. Every process in my business is documented. Every interaction follows proven protocols. Every outcome is measured and optimized. Elena clicks through several screens showing course completion rates, student satisfaction scores, and revenue projections. This isn't about becoming impersonal or corporate. It's about creating consistent value at scale. A student taking my online course in Tokyo should have essentially the same experience as someone attending a workshop here at the lake. She moves away from the computer and walks to the center of the studio, spreading her arms to encompass the entire space. The fourth principle is environment design. This studio isn't just where I work, it's a strategic business asset. Every aspect of this space is designed to optimize creativity, facilitate learning, and create memorable experiences for retreat participants. Elena points to various elements of the studio as she speaks: the natural light, the acoustic properties, the way the space flows from creative work areas to discussion spaces to relaxation zones. When someone spends a week here, they're not just learning painting techniques, they're experiencing what's possible when you create an environment that supports your highest aspirations. Many of my retreat participants go home and redesign their own creative spaces, which amplifies the impact of what they learned here. She moves to the window wall and presses her palm against the glass, watching as the sun continues its descent toward the lake. The fifth principle is collaborative abundance. The most successful artists I know aren't competing with each other, they're collaborating. My certified instructor program works because I recognized that there are thousands of talented artists who could teach my methods effectively, and by partnering with them, instead of trying to do everything myself, we all benefit. Elena turns back to you, and in her expression, you can see the deep satisfaction that comes from creating something larger than yourself. Each certified instructor pays licensing fees that provide me with passive income, but they also extend my reach into communities and demographics I could never serve personally. The Spanish-speaking instructor in Mexico City can connect with students in ways I never could. The instructor in rural Alberta can serve artists who would never travel to an international retreat. She walks over to a display case that holds examples of artwork created by students from around the world. Each piece is accompanied by a small card telling the student's story. This leads to the sixth principle: impact measurement. I don't just track revenue and profit margins. I track creative breakthroughs, career transformations, confidence increases. Maria here left her corporate job to become a full-time muralist after taking my course. James discovered painting during retirement and now runs art therapy sessions at a local hospital. Elena picks up one of the cards and reads from it. Sarah, the woman from Portland who took my first online lesson, now teaches art to special needs children and credits our work together with giving her the confidence to pursue a master's degree in art therapy. That impact is worth more than any monetary success. She returns the card to its place and moves back toward the seating area as the evening light continues to deepen and intensify. The seventh principle is perhaps the most important: authentic alignment. Every business decision I make gets filtered through a simple question. Does this align with who I am and what I value? I've turned down licensing deals worth millions of dollars because they would have required compromising my teaching methods or working with companies whose values didn't match mine. Elena settles back into her chair, her expression thoughtful and serious. Authentic alignment isn't just about personal satisfaction, it's about sustainable success. When your business truly reflects your values and passions, you have access to energy and creativity that can't be manufactured or faked. People sense authenticity, and they're drawn to it in ways that no marketing strategy can replicate. Elena stands and moves to a painting that clearly holds special significance. A self-portrait where she's shown painting at an easel, surrounded by swirling colors that seem to dance with life and energy. This piece represents my understanding of the eighth principle: creative courage. Building this business required me to take risks that conventional wisdom would have called foolish. Leaving a secure teaching position, investing savings in equipment I didn't know how to use, charging premium prices for services I was still developing. She touches the frame of the painting gently, as if drawing strength from the image of her own determination. But creative courage isn't about being fearless. It's about being more committed to your vision than you are attached to your comfort zone. Every major breakthrough in my business came from doing something that scared me, but aligned with my deeper purpose. Elena moves to another corner of the studio, where a meditation cushion sits next to a small fountain, creating a space obviously designed for reflection and inner work. The ninth principle is intuitive business intelligence. I spend time every morning in quiet reflection, not just planning the day's activities, but tuning into the deeper currents of where the business wants to grow. Some of my best ideas have come during these quiet moments when I'm not trying to force solutions, but allowing them to emerge naturally. She gestures toward the meditation space with obvious reverence. This isn't mystical thinking, it's practical intelligence. When you're deeply connected to your purpose and values, you can sense opportunities and make decisions faster than any analytical process could provide. Intuition and strategy work together, not in opposition. Elena returns to the seating area as the sun finally touches the horizon, beginning to paint the sky in the spectacular colors that make this time of day feel magical and full of possibility. The 10th and final principle is regenerative success. Everything I've built is designed to renew and sustain itself, rather than depleting my energy or resources. The courses generate passive income. The certified instructors extend my reach without requiring my constant attention. The retreat program energizes rather than exhausts me because I'm sharing what I love with people who genuinely want to learn. She settles into her chair with the satisfaction of someone who has found the perfect balance between ambition and sustainability. But perhaps most importantly, the business model allows me to continue growing as an artist. I'm not choosing between creative fulfillment and financial success. Each one supports and enhances the other. The teaching keeps me sharp. The business success provides freedom to experiment. And the global community of artists I've connected with inspires my own creative evolution. Elena reaches for her coffee cup and finds it empty, but doesn't seem to notice as she becomes absorbed in sharing these insights that clearly represent years of careful observation and refinement. When people ask me for advice about turning creative passion into sustainable business, I always start with the same question. What value can you create for other people that you would genuinely enjoy delivering? Because if you can answer that question honestly and build systems around that answer, you're not just starting a business, you're designing a life. She stands and moves to the large window wall, watching as the sun begins to disappear behind the far shore of the lake, leaving trails of gold and crimson reflected on the water's surface. The creative economy is expanding faster than any other sector right now. People are hungry for authentic, meaningful experiences. They want to learn from real practitioners, not just consume mass-produced content. They want to develop their own creative abilities, not just appreciate someone else's work. Elena turns back to you, and in the growing twilight, her eyes seem to hold depths of wisdom and possibility. What I've discovered is that there's no shortage of demand for genuine creative education and inspiration. The limitation is usually in the teacher's willingness to share their knowledge generously and systematically. Most creative people underestimate both their expertise and their ability to communicate it effectively. She moves back to her easel and picks up the brush again, making a few contemplative strokes on the painting she's been working on throughout your conversation. Every technique I've shared with you tonight, every principle I've discovered, every system I've developed, all of it started with a simple decision to stop hiding my creative gifts and start sharing them boldly with the world. The business success followed naturally from that foundational choice. Elena sets down the brush and looks directly at you, her expression both serious and encouraging. Your own creative journey doesn't have to follow the same path as mine. You might build a completely different kind of creative business, serve a different community, solve different problems. But the underlying principles of generous expertise, systematic scaling, and authentic alignment will work regardless of your specific medium or market. She gestures around the studio, taking in the evening light, the creative tools, the evidence of a life lived in full alignment with its deepest values. This is what becomes possible when you stop asking for permission to live your creative truth and start building the systems that allow that truth to serve others abundantly. The money follows the value follows the service, and the service follows the courage to share your gifts with the world. Elena moves toward the center of the studio, where the last rays of direct sunlight are creating a pool of golden light on the paint-splattered floor. But enough about business principles and success strategies. Let me show you what this journey really looks like from the inside. The daily experience of living a life where creativity and abundance dance together in perfect harmony. Elena dims the artificial lights in the studio, allowing the natural twilight and the golden reflections from the lake to provide the only illumination. The space transforms into something even more magical, with shadows and light playing across the walls and ceiling in constantly shifting patterns. Close your eyes for a moment, Elena suggests gently, her voice taking on the soothing quality of someone who has guided many people through transformative experiences. I want you to feel what it's like to step fully into your own creative abundance. You allow your eyelids to drift closed, and immediately you become more aware of the sounds around you. The gentle lapping of waves against the shore, the distant call of evening birds, the soft whisper of a breeze moving through the trees outside the studio. Breathe deeply, Elena continues, her voice seeming to come from somewhere both near and far. With each breath, allow yourself to sink more deeply into the possibility of what your life could become when you align your creativity with your courage. You feel your body relaxing into the comfortable chair, your shoulders releasing tension you didn't realize you were carrying, your breath naturally slowing and deepening as Elena's words wash over you like warm water. Imagine yourself 1 year from today. You've made the decision to trust your creative instincts completely. You've stopped waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect level of expertise. You've simply begun, with whatever skills you have right now, sharing your creative gifts with people who need exactly what you have to offer. In your mind's eye, you can see yourself in your own creative space. Perhaps it's a corner of your home that you've transformed into a studio, or maybe it's a small workshop space you've rented, or even a simple setup that you carry with you wherever inspiration strikes. The details don't matter as much as the feeling of complete ownership of your creative power. Feel the confidence that comes from knowing you're living authentically. Elena's voice continues, weaving through your visualization like a golden thread. Every morning, you wake up excited about the work you're going to do, the people you're going to serve, the creative problems you're going to solve. There's no more that nagging voice asking, "What if?" because you're already living the answer. You can sense the energy of this imagined future self, someone who moves through the world with purpose and clarity, someone who has learned to trust their instincts and value their unique perspective. In this visualization, you can feel the particular satisfaction that comes from work that is both personally fulfilling and genuinely helpful to others. Now, imagine yourself 3 years from today, Elena suggests, her voice growing even more gentle and hypnotic. Your creative business has grown beyond what you initially thought possible, not because you've compromised your values or pushed yourself beyond your limits, but because you've learned to create systems that amplify your natural gifts. In this extended vision, you can see the compound effects of consistent creative work. Students or clients who were transformed by your first offerings are now referring others to you. Your reputation for excellence and authenticity has spread through word of mouth and genuine results. You're no longer worried about whether you're good enough. You're focused on how to serve at an even higher level. Feel the freedom that comes with financial abundance earned through creative contribution, Elena continues. Money is no longer a source of stress or limitation. Instead, it's become a tool that allows you to invest in better equipment, more beautiful spaces, deeper learning, and greater service to your community. You can sense the relaxation that comes when financial pressure is replaced by financial flow. In this imagined future, you're making decisions based on alignment and opportunity rather than fear and scarcity. You have the resources to experiment, to take creative risks, to support other artists and creators in their own journeys. Now imagine yourself 5 years from today, Elena's voice suggests, drawing you even deeper into this vision of your realized potential. You're recognized as an expert in your field, not because you sought recognition, but because you consistently created value for others. People seek you out for your wisdom, your techniques, your perspective on the intersection of creativity and business. In this longer-term vision, you can feel the deep satisfaction that comes from having built something meaningful and lasting. Your work has impact beyond just your own success. You've influenced an entire community of creative people, helping them believe in their own abilities and pursue their own dreams with greater confidence. Feel the ease with which opportunities flow to you now, Elena continues. Because you've established such a clear reputation for excellence and integrity, the right partnerships, collaborations, and projects find their way to you naturally. You're no longer pushing to make things happen. You're choosing from among multiple possibilities that align with your values and vision. You can sense this quality of magnetic attraction, where your authentic success draws more opportunities for authentic success. In this state, work doesn't feel like struggle, because you're operating in complete alignment with your natural strengths and deepest values. And now, Elena says, her voice taking on an even more profound quality of peace and certainty. Imagine yourself 10 years from today. You've built not just a successful business, but a legacy. The ripple effects of your creative courage have touched thousands of lives. Students you taught early in your journey are now teachers themselves, passing on not just techniques, but the permission to dream boldly. In this most expansive vision, you can feel the profound satisfaction of having lived a life of creative integrity. You've proven to yourself and others that it's possible to build genuine abundance by sharing your gifts generously with the world. You've become living proof that creative dreams aren't impractical fantasies. They're blueprints for a more meaningful and prosperous life. Feel the energy of this future self, Elena suggests gently. Notice how they move through the world with confidence and grace. Notice how they make decisions from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. Notice how they've learned to trust their creative instincts completely. You can sense the particular quality of presence that comes from someone who has fully claimed their creative power. There's no more second guessing, no more comparing yourself to others, no more wondering if you're talented enough or business savvy enough. You've become someone who simply creates value and shares it boldly with the world. Now begin to draw that future energy back into your present moment, Elena instructs, her voice maintaining its gentle, hypnotic quality. Allow the confidence, the clarity, the creative courage of your future self to infuse your current reality. Feel those qualities settling into your body, into your mind, into your daily experience. You can sense this integration happening at a cellular level, as if your future success is not something you have to strive for, but something you're naturally growing into. The gap between who you are now and who you're becoming feels smaller and more manageable. With each breath, allow yourself to embody more fully the creative entrepreneur you're destined to become, Elena continues. Feel the excitement of having clear direction, the peace of knowing you're on the right path, the joy of sharing your gifts with people who truly value them. In this state of integrated visualization, you can feel the possibility becoming probability. Your creative dreams don't seem like distant fantasies anymore. They feel like natural extensions of who you already are, just waiting for the right conditions to flourish. When you're ready, Elena says softly, allow your eyes to open slowly, bringing this energy of creative abundance with you into the present moment. You open your eyes to find that the studio has been transformed by the advancing twilight. The space glows softly with reflected light from the lake, and Elena appears almost luminous as she moves quietly around the space, lighting several small candles that add warmth and intimacy to the atmosphere. "How do you feel?" she asks, settling back into her chair with a smile that suggests she already knows the answer. You find that something has shifted during the visualization. The creative dreams that felt daunting or impractical earlier now feel simply like the next logical step in your evolution. Elena's story isn't just inspiring, it's a roadmap that you can follow in your own unique way. The most important thing to remember, Elena says, her voice maintaining its gentle, hypnotic quality, is that everything I've shared with you tonight already exists within your own creative potential. My specific journey was shaped by my background, my skills, my circumstances. Your journey will be uniquely yours, but it will be built on the same foundation of courage, generosity, and authentic service. She stands and moves to the window, where the last traces of sunset are painting the sky in deep purples and soft roses. The creative economy is waiting for exactly what you have to offer. There are people out there right now who need precisely the knowledge, perspective, and inspiration that you can provide. The question isn't whether you're ready. The question is whether you're willing to begin. Elena turns back to you, and in the candlelit studio, her presence seems to embody all the creative possibilities she's been describing. Your creative abundance isn't something you have to earn or prove you deserve. It's something you step into by making the decision to share your gifts boldly and generously with the world. Everything else, the business skills, the marketing knowledge, the systems and strategies, those are just tools you'll learn as you go. She moves back to her easel and adds a few final touches to the painting she's been working on throughout your conversation. In the soft light, you can see that it depicts a path leading through trees toward a body of water that reflects the sky like a mirror. This painting represents the journey we've been discussing tonight, Elena explains. The path isn't always clear, and you can't see the final destination from the beginning. But each step reveals the next step, and if you keep moving forward with faith and intention, you'll discover possibilities you never imagined when you started. She sets down her brush and moves to a comfortable cushioned area near the window, where the sound of gentle waves seems to fill the space with natural rhythm. Before you leave tonight, I want to give you one final gift, Elena says, settling onto the cushions and gesturing for you to join her. I want to guide you through a deeper integration of everything we've explored, so that when you return to your daily life, you carry this creative confidence with you as a permanent part of who you are. You settle onto the comfortable cushions beside Elena, and immediately you feel embraced by the profound peace of this lakeside sanctuary. The gentle sound of water against the shore creates a natural rhythm that seems to synchronize with your heartbeat, while the soft light from the candles dances across the walls in hypnotic patterns. Allow your body to sink completely into comfort, Elena begins, her voice taking on the quality of someone who has guided many others through deep, transformative experiences. Let the cushions support you fully. Let the sounds of the lake embrace you. Let the energy of creative abundance that fills this space begin to fill you as well. You feel your muscles releasing tension, layer by layer, starting with your face and neck and flowing down through your shoulders, arms, chest, and back. The stress of daily life seems to melt away, replaced by a profound sense of safety and possibility. Breathe deeply into your belly, Elena continues, her words seeming to come from a place of infinite patience and wisdom. With each inhale, draw in the energy of creative confidence. With each exhale, release any doubts or fears about your ability to build the abundant life you desire. Your breathing naturally deepens and slows, and with each breath cycle, you feel more connected to the vision of creative success you explored earlier. The future self you imagined feels less like a fantasy and more like a natural evolution of who you already are. Now, I want you to imagine that there's a golden thread connecting your heart to the heart of every person who needs exactly what you have to offer, Elena suggests, her voice taking on an even more mystical quality. Feel that thread pulsing with light and energy, drawing you toward the people you're meant to serve and drawing them toward you. In your mind's eye, you can see this luminous connection extending in all directions, reaching people in your community and around the world who are waiting for the unique combination of knowledge, creativity, and perspective that only you can provide. This vision fills you with a sense of purpose and anticipation that feels both exciting and deeply peaceful. Allow yourself to feel the abundance that flows along this golden thread, Elena continues. It's not just financial abundance, though money flows easily when you're providing genuine value. It's the abundance of meaningful work, creative fulfillment, positive impact, and the deep satisfaction that comes from living in complete alignment with your purpose. You can sense this multidimensional abundance settling into your energy field, like warm honey, sweet and nourishing, and completely natural. In this state, prosperity doesn't feel like something you have to chase or struggle for. It feels like something that flows to you naturally when you open your gifts to the world. Feel your creative confidence expanding with each breath, Elena suggests. You are no longer someone who wonders if they're talented enough or knowledgeable enough. You are someone who simply creates and shares, trusting that your authentic offering is exactly what someone needs to hear or see or learn right now. This creative confidence seems to fill every cell of your body, replacing old patterns of self-doubt with a quiet certainty about your value and your right to share your gifts with the world. You can feel yourself becoming someone who creates from joy rather than insecurity, someone who shares from abundance rather than desperation. Now, allow yourself to feel supported by an invisible network of creative allies, Elena continues, her voice weaving through your consciousness like a gentle current. Other artists, entrepreneurs, teachers, and creators who understand the journey you're on and are silently cheering for your success. You can sense this community of creative spirits surrounding you with encouragement and wisdom, even though you may not have met them yet in the physical world. This feeling of support dissolves any sense of isolation or competition, replacing it with a knowing that you're part of a larger movement of people bringing their gifts to the world with courage and authenticity. Feel your relationship with money transforming, Elena suggests gently. Money is no longer a source of stress or compromise. It has become a tool for creative freedom, a means of sharing your gifts more widely, and a natural result of providing genuine value to others. In this meditative state, you can feel old patterns of financial anxiety dissolving, replaced by a healthy understanding of money as energy that flows naturally when you're aligned with your purpose. Prosperity feels not like something you have to chase, but like something that seeks you out when you're confidently sharing your authentic gifts. Allow yourself to feel the deep peace that comes from living authentically, Elena continues, her words seeming to reach the deepest parts of your consciousness. There is no more need to pretend to be someone you're not. No more energy wasted trying to fit into expectations that don't align with your true nature. This authentic peace settles into your being like a warm blanket, creating a foundation of self-acceptance and creative courage that feels unshakable. From this place of inner security, the idea of sharing your work with the world feels not scary, but exciting, like a natural expression of who you are. Feel your creative energy expanding beyond your personal boundaries, Elena suggests. Your art, your teaching, your business, your authentic expression creates ripples of positive change that extend far beyond what you can see or measure. You can sense this expanded impact spreading in all directions from your creative work, touching lives in ways you may never fully know, but can feel at an energetic level. This awareness fills you with a sense of purpose and responsibility that feels uplifting rather than burdensome. Now allow all of these feelings, the confidence, the abundance, the support, the peace, the expanded impact, to crystallize into a single point of light in your heart center, Elena instructs, her voice maintaining its gentle, hypnotic quality. This light contains everything you need to begin or continue your journey toward creative abundance. You can feel this crystallization happening, as if all the insights and energy from tonight's experience are condensing into a portable source of power and wisdom that you can carry with you wherever you go. This light is yours forever, Elena continues. Whenever you need to remember your creative power, whenever you doubt your ability to build abundance through authentic expression, simply place your hand on your heart and feel this light glowing within you. You place your hand on your heart and immediately feel the warm, steady glow of this inner light. It feels like a direct connection to your highest creative potential, a reminder that success comes not from forcing or struggling, but from aligning with and expressing your authentic gifts. As we prepare to complete our time together, Elena says, her voice beginning to take on the gentle cadence of someone bringing a meditation to a close, know that everything you've experienced tonight is just the beginning. The real transformation happens as you carry this energy into your daily life and begin to act from this place of creative confidence and abundance consciousness. You feel a gentle stirring of energy, as if your consciousness is beginning to return from the deep, meditative state while still retaining all the insights and transformation you've experienced. When you're ready, Elena says softly, allow your eyes to open slowly, bringing this energy of creative abundance with you into the present moment, knowing that you are forever changed by what you've experienced here tonight. You open your eyes to find that the studio has been transformed once again by the advancing night. The candles Elena lit earlier now provide the primary illumination, creating pools of warm light that seem to dance with the gentle movement of water reflections coming through the windows. The space feels like a sacred sanctuary where transformation naturally occurs. Elena is sitting quietly nearby, her presence both grounding and expansive, like someone who has learned to embody the perfect balance between creative passion and spiritual peace. When she notices your eyes are open, she smiles with the kind of warmth that suggests she's witnessed something beautiful in your meditative experience. "How are you feeling?" she asks gently, though her tone suggests she can already sense the shift that has occurred within you during the deep integration process. You find that words feel somewhat inadequate to describe the transformation you've experienced. There's a new quality of confidence and possibility flowing through your awareness, as if you've remembered something important about yourself that had been temporarily forgotten. The creative dreams that seemed daunting earlier now feel like natural expressions of your inherent potential. That feeling you're experiencing right now, Elena says, her voice maintaining its gentle, hypnotic quality, is what it feels like to be aligned with your creative truth. This is your natural state when you're not fighting against your gifts, but flowing with them toward the people who need what you have to offer. She stands and moves to the window, where the lake now appears as a dark mirror, reflecting the stars that have begun to appear in the clear night sky. The beautiful thing about this transformation is that it continues to deepen even while you sleep. Your subconscious mind is incredibly powerful at integrating new possibilities and preparing you to act on them in your waking life. Elena returns to the seating area, bringing with her a soft blanket that she offers to you. I'd like to guide you through a final process tonight, a way of programming your dream state to continue the creative abundance work we've been doing together. You accept the blanket gratefully, feeling its softness add another layer of comfort to the already deeply peaceful atmosphere. The combination of Elena's presence, the magical setting, and the profound inner work you've done creates a feeling of being held and supported in the most nurturing way possible. As you prepare for sleep tonight, whether here or when you return home, I want you to carry with you a very specific intention. Elena begins, settling back into her chair with the calm authority of someone who has guided many others through similar transformations. Tonight, your dreams will be filled with visions of your creative abundance, manifesting in perfect timing and in perfect ways. She pauses, allowing this intention to settle into your consciousness like a seed being planted in fertile soil. In your dream state tonight, you'll experience yourself confidently sharing your creative gifts with the world. Elena continues, her voice taking on the rhythmic, hypnotic quality that naturally induces relaxation and receptivity. You'll see yourself creating work that flows effortlessly from your authentic expression. You'll feel the satisfaction of connecting with people who genuinely value what you have to offer. As Elena speaks, you can feel your consciousness beginning to shift into the liminal space between waking and sleeping, where the boundaries between possibility and reality become fluid and permeable. In your dreams tonight, you'll experience the feeling of financial abundance earned through creative contribution, Elena suggests, her words seeming to float into your awareness like gentle waves. You'll feel the peace and freedom that comes when money flows to you naturally as a result of sharing your gifts generously with the world. Your breathing naturally deepens and slows as Elena's voice guides you into this state of receptive relaxation. The sounds of the lake seem to become more pronounced, creating a natural rhythm that encourages even deeper letting go. Your dreaming mind will show you specific next steps for your creative abundance journey. Elena continues, her voice becoming softer and more distant. You'll wake up tomorrow with clear inspiration about how to begin or continue building the creative life you desire. The path will feel obvious and manageable, like something you're naturally ready to pursue. You can feel these suggestions settling into the deepest layers of your consciousness, where they'll continue to work throughout the night to align your entire being with the vision of creative success you've been exploring. In your dreams, you'll experience the joy of creative collaboration. Elena's voice continues, becoming more and more gentle. You'll feel yourself connected to a supportive community of artists, entrepreneurs, and creative spirits who celebrate your success and offer wisdom for your journey. The feeling of support and connection that Elena is describing seems to envelop you even now, creating a sense of belonging to something larger than your individual dreams and aspirations. Your subconscious mind will use the sleep state to release any remaining fears or doubts about your creative potential. Elena suggests, her words barely above a whisper now. You'll wake up feeling lighter, more confident, and more excited about the possibilities that await you. You can sense this releasing process beginning even now, as if old patterns of self-doubt and creative fear are simply dissolving into the peaceful atmosphere of the lakeside studio. Throughout the night, your dreaming consciousness will be filled with images of abundance, creativity, and authentic success. Elena continues, her voice blending with the gentle sounds of water and night air. These images will plant seeds of possibility that will continue to grow and manifest in your waking life. As Elena speaks these final programming suggestions, you feel yourself settling even more deeply into a state of peaceful receptivity. The boundary between the meditation and natural sleep begins to blur, creating the perfect conditions for the kind of transformative rest that changes you at a cellular level. Allow yourself to drift now toward the most peaceful, restorative sleep, Elena whispers, her voice becoming part of the natural symphony of night sounds around the lake. Trust that your dreams will be filled with visions of your creative abundance manifesting in perfect ways and perfect timing. You feel your consciousness beginning to float, supported by the profound peace of this magical place and the powerful intentions Elena has helped you set for the night ahead. The last thing you're aware of is the gentle sound of waves lapping against the shore and Elena's whispered blessing. Sleep deeply, dream abundantly, and wake up ready to claim your creative birthright. As you drift deeper into the most peaceful sleep you've experienced in years, your dreams begin to unfold like a series of beautiful paintings, each one more vivid and inspiring than the last. In this dream state, the boundaries between imagination and possibility dissolve completely, allowing you to experience your creative abundance as if it's already your lived reality. In your first dream, you find yourself in your own creative workspace, a place that perfectly reflects your artistic vision and practical needs. The light is perfect, the tools are exactly what you need, and most importantly, you're working with the kind of confident flow that comes from complete alignment with your purpose. Every brushstroke, every decision, every creative choice feels effortless and right. As the dream continues, you see yourself sharing this work with others. Whether through teaching, selling, or simply displaying your creations, you watch as people respond with genuine enthusiasm and appreciation. In the dream, there's no anxiety about whether your work is good enough. You simply create and share from a place of joy and authenticity. The scene shifts, and you're now experiencing the business side of creative abundance. In this dream reality, the practical aspects of building a creative enterprise feel natural and exciting rather than overwhelming. You see yourself learning new skills with ease, connecting with the right mentors and collaborators, and making decisions from a place of confidence rather than fear. Throughout these dream experiences, money flows to you naturally and abundantly. In the dream state, you can feel the profound relief and freedom that comes when financial concerns no longer dominate your decision-making process. Instead, you're choosing projects and opportunities based on alignment and excitement, trusting that prosperity follows naturally when you're living your creative truth. Your dreaming mind shows you the ripple effects of your creative courage. You see students, clients, or customers whose lives have been positively impacted by your work. You feel the deep satisfaction that comes from knowing your creative expression has made a real difference in the world. As the dreams continue throughout the night, they become even more expansive and detailed. You experience yourself 5 years, 10 years into your creative abundance journey. You see the legacy you've built, the community you've served, the impact you've created through the simple act of sharing your gifts boldly with the world. In the deepest part of the night, your subconscious mind processes and integrates all the insights and energy from your evening with Elena. Old limiting beliefs about creativity and money are gently dissolved and replaced with new patterns of thinking that support your highest potential. You're literally rewiring your brain for creative abundance while you sleep. As dawn approaches, your dreams begin to show you specific next steps for your creative journey. You see yourself taking concrete actions, perhaps setting up a workspace, starting an online presence, reaching out to potential mentors, or simply beginning to create more consistently. In the dream state, these actions feel not overwhelming, but exciting, like natural expressions of your newfound creative confidence. When you finally begin to surface from sleep, you carry with you the energy and insights from the night's transformative dream work. As consciousness slowly returns, you find that something fundamental has shifted. The creative dreams that once felt impossible now feel simply like the next logical step in your evolution. You become aware of Elena's presence in the studio, moving quietly as she prepares what smells like the most aromatic coffee you can imagine. The morning light streaming through the windows reveals the lake in all its early day glory, with mist rising from the water like visible dreams taking flight. "Good morning," Elena says softly when she notices you stirring. "How do you feel?" As you consider her question, you realize that you feel fundamentally different than when you arrived yesterday evening. There's a quality of excitement and possibility flowing through your awareness that wasn't there before. More importantly, there's a deep knowing that your creative abundance isn't just a fantasy. It's a natural extension of who you're becoming. "The dreams were incredible," you tell Elena, and as you speak, you realize that the visions from the night feel as real and achievable as any memory from your waking life. Elena smiles with the satisfaction of someone who has witnessed this transformation many times before. "Dreams like that aren't just entertainment for your sleeping mind," she explains, handing you a cup of coffee that tastes like liquid inspiration. "They're actually preview experiences of the reality you're creating through your creative courage and authentic action." You sip the coffee and look out at the lake, where the morning light is creating patterns of gold and silver on the water's surface. Everything looks the same as yesterday, but you're seeing it through completely different eyes that now recognize possibility and abundance where they once saw only distant dreams. Elena continues, settling into her chair with her own cup of coffee, "Is to act on the inspiration while it's still fresh. Your subconscious mind has spent the night preparing you for creative action. The key is to honor that preparation by taking concrete steps, however small, toward the vision that's been planted in your awareness." As Elena speaks, you find that specific ideas and inspirations are indeed beginning to surface in your consciousness. Actions you could take today, this week, this month, to begin building the creative abundance you experienced so vividly in your dreams. "Before you leave this morning," Elena says, "I want to give you one final gift." She stands and moves to a small easel where a canvas holds what appears to be a painting she created while you slept. It's an abstract piece that somehow captures the energy and possibility of everything you've experienced during your time here. This represents the energy signature of your creative abundance, Elena explains. I painted it while you were sleeping, using my intuitive sense of the transformation that was occurring within you. Keep it as a reminder of who you're becoming and what's possible when you align your creativity with your courage. You accept the painting with deep gratitude, understanding that it's not just a beautiful piece of art, but a tangible anchor for the transformation you've experienced. Looking at it, you can feel the same energy of possibility and confidence that filled your dreams throughout the night. Remember, Elena says as you prepare to leave this magical place, everything you experienced here, the insights, the inspiration, the transformation, all of it lives within you now. You don't need to return to this physical location to access this energy. You carry it with you wherever you go. As you take one last look around the studio that has been the setting for such profound personal change, you realize that you're not the same person who arrived here yesterday evening. You've become someone who believes in their creative potential, someone who understands that abundance flows naturally when you share your gifts authentically with the world. The journey continues from here, Elena says, walking with you toward the door. But now you know that the destination isn't some distant someday. It's the natural result of consistently choosing to honor your creative truth and share it boldly with people who need exactly what you have to offer. You step out into the morning air, breathing deeply of the fresh, possibility-filled atmosphere. The painting Elena created feels warm in your hands, and the insights from the night feel solid and actionable in your mind. Most importantly, the transformation you've experienced feels permanent and unshakable. As you walk back up the path from the lake, you carry with you not just inspiration, but a fundamental shift in how you see yourself and your creative potential. You are no longer someone who dreams of creative abundance someday. You are someone who is actively building it through every authentic choice you make. The gravel crunches softly beneath your feet as you make your way up the gentle slope. And with each step, you feel the integration of everything you've experienced deepening and solidifying within your consciousness. The morning air carries the scent of wildflowers and fresh water, and the sound of birds beginning their daily songs seems to celebrate the new chapter you're beginning in your own creative story. Elena walks with you partway up the path, her presence both grounding and inspiring as you transition from this magical sanctuary back toward your ordinary life, which will never quite be ordinary again after what you've experienced here. The real work begins now, she says, as you reach the point where the studio is no longer visible through the trees. But it's not work in the sense of struggle or effort. It's work in the sense of alignment, consistently choosing to honor your creative truth and share it with people who need exactly what you have to offer. You pause to take one last look back toward the lake, where the morning mist is beginning to clear and reveal the full beauty of the water, sparkling in the early sunlight. The scene looks like something from a dream, but you know that what happened here was more real than most of your waking experiences. Trust the process, Elena adds, her voice carrying the authority of someone who has walked this path successfully and guided many others along it. Your creative abundance isn't something you have to force or chase. It's something that unfolds naturally when you consistently show up as your authentic self and share your gifts generously with the world. As you continue up the path, Elena's words settle into your consciousness like seeds planted in fertile soil. You can feel them taking root, becoming part of your fundamental understanding of how creativity and abundance work together when approached with courage and authentic intention. The painting she created while you slept rests securely in your hands, its abstract colors and flowing forms somehow capturing the energy of transformation you've experienced. Looking at it, you can instantly reconnect with the feeling of unlimited creative potential that filled your dreams throughout the night. By the time you reach your car, the sun has risen enough to warm the air and create that particular quality of morning light that makes everything look fresh and full of possibility. As you place Elena's painting carefully in the passenger seat, you realize that this physical artwork is just one of many gifts you're taking with you from this experience. The deeper gifts are the ones that have been integrated into your very being. The unshakable knowing that your creative work has value, the confidence to share your gifts boldly with the world, the understanding that abundance flows naturally when you align your actions with your authentic purpose. As you drive away from the lake, you find that your mind is already buzzing with specific ideas and inspirations for your creative abundance journey. The dreams from the night have left you with clear visions of next steps, and more importantly, with the energy and motivation to act on those visions. The landscape passing by your windows looks somehow different than it did yesterday, more vibrant, more full of possibility, as if the transformation you've undergone has changed not just how you see yourself, but how you see the entire world around you. You realize that you're no longer driving toward your old life, but toward a new chapter where creativity and abundance dance together in perfect harmony. The fears and doubts that once seemed so overwhelming now feel manageable, like small obstacles that can be easily navigated rather than impossible barriers. As the miles pass beneath your wheels, you find yourself already planning your first concrete steps toward building the creative empire you experienced so vividly in your dreams. Whether it's setting up a workspace, starting an online presence, reaching out to potential mentors, or simply committing to a more consistent creative practice, the actions feel exciting rather than daunting. The energy of Elena's story continues to work within you like a gentle current, carrying you toward your own unique version of creative success. You understand now that her specific path was shaped by her particular gifts and circumstances, but the underlying principles she shared are universal truths that can be applied to any creative endeavor. By the time you arrive home, you feel like you're returning not as the same person who left yesterday, but as someone who has remembered something essential about their own potential. The familiar surroundings of your daily life look the same, but you're seeing them through the eyes of someone who now understands that creative abundance is not just possible, but natural when approached with the right mindset and methods. As you carry Elena's painting into your home, you already know exactly where you want to place it. Somewhere you'll see it every day as a reminder of the transformation you've experienced and the creative abundance you're now actively building. It will serve as an anchor for the new identity you've claimed, the identity of someone who creates and shares their gifts boldly with the world. That night, as you prepare for sleep in your own bed, you carry with you all the energy and insights from your time at the lake. You set the intention for your dreams to continue the creative abundance work, to show you more specific next steps, and to further integrate the transformation you've begun. As you drift off to sleep, you smile with the deep satisfaction of someone who has finally remembered who they really are and what they're capable of creating. Your dreams that night are filled with visions of your creative work touching lives around the world, of financial abundance earned through authentic contribution, and of the profound satisfaction that comes from living in complete alignment with your creative truth. In the weeks and months that follow, you find that the transformation you experienced at Elena's lakeside studio continues to deepen and expand. Each creative action you take builds confidence for the next one. Each success, however small, reinforces your belief in your own potential. Each person who responds positively to your work confirms that you have something valuable to offer the world. The principles Elena shared, generous expertise, iterative excellence, systematic scaling, authentic alignment, become the foundation of your own creative business strategy. You discover that building creative abundance isn't about having all the answers from the beginning, but about being willing to learn and adapt as you grow. Your creative practice becomes not just a hobby or side pursuit, but the central organizing principle of your life. You make decisions based on what supports your creative growth and what allows you to serve others more effectively. Money begins to flow more easily as you focus on creating genuine value rather than chasing quick profits. The community of creative allies that Elena helped you visualize begins to manifest in your actual experience. You connect with other artists, entrepreneurs, and creators who understand the journey you're on and offer support, collaboration, and friendship along the way. Most importantly, you discover that the creative confidence you developed at the lake isn't dependent on external circumstances or validation. It comes from within, from the deep knowing that your authentic creative expression has inherent value and deserves to be shared with the world. Years later, when you find yourself in Elena's position, successful, abundant, and ready to guide others on their creative journeys, you remember that magical night by the lake as the moment when everything changed. Not because of any external circumstance, but because you finally gave yourself permission to believe in your own creative potential and act on that belief with courage and consistency. The painting Elena created while you slept still hangs in your home, its colors as vibrant as ever, its energy still capable of instantly reconnecting you with the transformation you experienced. But by then, you no longer need external reminders of your creative power, because you've become someone who embodies that power naturally and shares it generously with everyone you encounter. Your own creative empire, built on the foundation of authentic expression and generous service, stands as testament to the truth Elena shared with you that night, that creative abundance isn't a fantasy reserved for a special few, but a natural birthright available to anyone willing to honor their gifts and share them boldly with the world. And sometimes, on quiet evenings when the light is just right, you remember the feeling of sitting in that glass studio by the lake, listening to Elena's story and feeling your own creative future unfolding like a flower opening to the sun. In those moments, you're filled with deep gratitude for the courage you found to trust your creative instincts and build the abundant life you were always meant to live. The ripple effects of that single night continue to expand outward, touching the lives of everyone you teach, inspire, or serve through your creative work. Your success becomes permission for others to pursue their own dreams, just as Elena's success gave you permission to pursue yours. This is how creative abundance spreads through the world, not through competition or scarcity, but through generous sharing of knowledge, encouragement, and the living example of what becomes possible when someone aligns their creativity with their courage and commits to serving others through their authentic gifts. As you drift into sleep each night, surrounded by the evidence of your creative success and the warmth of a life lived in authentic alignment, you carry with you the same peaceful confidence that Elena embodied that magical evening by the lake. You rest in the deep, knowing that creative abundance is not something you achieved once and might lose, but something that flows naturally from who you've become. Someone who trusts their gifts completely and shares them generously with a world that desperately needs what only you can provide. The story continues in the lives of everyone you touch through your creative work, rippling outward in ways you may never fully know but can feel at the deepest level of your being. This is the true meaning of creative abundance, not just personal success, but the multiplication of possibility that occurs when someone has the courage to live their creative truth and inspire others to do the same. Sleep comes easily now, filled with dreams of continued growth, expanded impact, and the endless creative possibilities that await when you've learned to dance gracefully between inspiration and action, between vision and practical implementation, between your individual gifts and the collective need for authentic beauty, wisdom, and transformation in the world. And in that peaceful sleep, surrounded by the fruits of your creative courage and the promise of even greater abundance to come, you rest in the perfect knowledge that you have claimed your birthright as a creative being and built a life that honors both your individual potential and your responsibility to serve the greater good through the generous sharing of your unique gifts with the world.